So UFC Fight Night Holm versus Bueno Silva will be taking place this weekend. This is going to be my delayed final breakdown and prediction video for the card. I did do an early prediction video about 3 days ago, I think it was by this time, but I normally do 2 videos for every UFC card, and this is going to be the second and the final one. Now, it is a little bit delayed because I did KSW and 1 championship predictions, and they took me a long time to make, so I would appreciate it if you just watch those videos as well, if you're interested in hearing predictions for those fights, because they took me so long to research, man, it was crazy. But now let's get into the picks for the UFC card. I'm looking forward to this card. Is it a strong card? No, not really, but I will be doing a fight companion on my YouTube channel for the card as well. I'll also be doing a fight companion for the 1 championship card as well. And now we can get into the predictions. It's going to be Ashlee Smith versus Ailin Perez opening up the main card. And I do believe this is the final belt order because we've got the numbers beside the fights on Tapology. Shout out to Big Marcel for informing of that. I didn't know that until now. But opening up the card is Ashlee Smith taking on Ailin Perez. You've kind of just got to go with Ailin Perez here. There's so many unknowns with Ashlee Smith. To start with, she's fought twice in 4 years, and then her last fight was 2.5 years ago. She served the USADA suspension. I believe she's been injured as well. I've noticed that she started to do something else. I think she's a podcast host. I think she's also doing something else. I think she's become like a model or something along those lines. Like if you look at her Instagram, it looks like she's doing a lot of modeling. So good for her, but it's not really training in the gym every single day. Now, I believe Ailin Perez also does something similar, but we won't get into that. We're going to predict the fight. I think Ashlee Smith genuinely has a really good chance at winning this fight, but you just have to go with Ailin Perez here. There's just not a lot of evidence out there that suggests that Ashlee Smith should win. She didn't look her same self when she fought Norma Dumont. I thought that she looked pretty good in that fight still, though. She threw a lot of kicks, and she did look... She held her own against Norma Dumont, but she did eventually lose that matchup. She looked good against Beck Rawlins. That was actually a fun fight. A lot of volume was thrown there. Against Andrea Lee, she was able to get takedowns, but just wasn't able to win the fight. But the thing is with Ashlee Smith, to win this fight, she probably has to get takedowns and then stay safe on top. I don't know if she could do that against Ailin Perez, because Ailin Perez is going to want this fight on the ground herself. Even if it does get to the ground, she's dangerous. Ailin Perez isn't a very technical striker, but she is a very high volume. She is very, very aggressive with everything that she does. I'm going to go with Ailin Perez, but the problem with Ailin Perez is just like, she hasn't really fought the best opponents in her career. She didn't look that good against Stephanie Egger either. Egger was able to control her on top for the first round and then submit her in the second. But you just can't really pick Evan Smith with the evidence that we've got. So I'm going to go with Ailin Perez. I'm picking her to win this matchup, but it's a low confidence pick. It's a very low confidence pick, actually. And now we can move on to the next fight. Carl Deaton III is going to be taking on Alex Munhoz. And this is, again, another fight which is going to be pretty hard to picture. Kind of just based on another sort of thing. Evidence. Alex Munhoz hasn't fought for 2 years, but I do understand that he's the wrestling coach at Team Alpha Male, and I believe he has been the wrestling coach at Team Alpha Male the whole time, so that's good to know. Look, it's good to know that he's at least been training, or maybe if he hasn't been training as an MMA fighter, he's at least been staying in shape, wrestling all day, and just, you know, keeping his knowledge and skills up by being a coach, you know. So, for Carl Deaton III, Carl Deaton III is an interesting sort of case, because he's a grappler, for the most part, is kind of how I would describe his sort of style. On the feet, I don't think he's anything too special. His range management isn't that great. He's got a very short reach of 67 inches. And when he fights, he likes to be really far away from his opponents. Like obviously you don't want to stand in the pocket all the time, but he seems to really like his distance, which doesn't really work because for him to land strikes, he really has to close the distance because he's always smaller than his opponents. He's not very big for 155 pounds. Now, Alex Munhoz, I believe, can win this matchup. I think he is the better wrestler, and I think he can take a page out of Joe Solecki's book and take down Carl Deaton III and control on top, probably for all 3 rounds. I don't see Alex Munhoz really working for a finish here. I think if Alex Munhoz wins, it's probably going to be by decision, by controlling Carl Deaton III on top for all 3 rounds. Carl Deaton III, if he wins this fight, I think he has to find something on the feet, which I don't think he finds. But I think it's most likely path to victory is finding a submission on the ground. But I'm going to go with Alex Munhoz here. We haven't seen Alex Munhoz fight for a very long time. But I didn't mind what I saw when I was watching his fights, because he was getting a lot of takedowns against Luis Pena. And he took down Nasrat Haqparast as well. So he can find success with the wrestling. And I think he is going to wrestle here. I think he's going to wrestle and stay safe. I think he's going to win a decision over Carl Deaton III. Tyson Nam is going to be taking on Azat Maksum. And this is a fun fight because I'm really excited for Azat Maksum's debut. I did initially say that I wasn't super sold on Azat Maksum in my initial prediction, but with time, my confidence in him has increased. I've seen this guy fight every single kind of opponent he could find. He could potentially fight against. He's fought against grapplers. He's fought against brawlers. He's fought against technical strikers. You name it, Azat Maksum has fought against them. And he's looked good. Like, he hurt Fabricio Nunes on the feet and then finished him off. He kind of beat Alan Gabriel by mixing everything up with his striking and his wrestling. And that's what he does. That's what Azat Maksum does. He's a good striker and a good wrestler. Now, I don't think his best idea is to go out there and try and strike with 3 rounds with Tyson Nam, because Tyson Nam still is a very good striker himself. And Tyson Nam as well, it is worth noting, he does have incredibly good takedown defense. You know, before his fight against Bueno Silva, he had never been taken down in the UFC, and that is a pretty impressive feat. I think Tyson Nam's whole career as a whole does get a little bit overlooked, and I think Tyson Nam is just an underrated fighter in general, but I'm not going to pick him in this matchup. We're talking about an almost 40-year-old man at flyweight taking on an undefeated 16-0 guy coming in from Kazakhstan, but I do believe, as I said, Tyson Nam's got an underrated career. This guy's got good wins. He knocked out Eduardo Dantas, who at the time was the Bellator champion. If you do go through his career, just as a whole, he does actually have really good wins against good opponents as way back when. So I think Tyson Nam's career is underrated, but I think Azat Maksum wins here. He can strike, he can wrestle. I think his best chance is to wrestle. I'm interested to see if he becomes the first man to take Tyson Nam down. That would be interesting. Now, it is worth noting a lot of the fighters that Tyson Nam did fight weren't really fighters that would want to take him down. But I think Azat Maksum can take down Tyson Nam, and I think he can work for a submission. I think that's his best chance of victory. And it was worth noting as well, Nam got hurt in his last fight against Bueno Silva, which was only 3 months ago, and now he's an older guy at 125 pounds. Genaro Valdez is going to be taking on Evan Elder, and to be honest, this could potentially be a win or go home sort of situation. Now, sometimes if a fighter starts their career 0-3, they do get a 4th opportunity, but I think this might be a win or go home situation for both guys. Now, I think both guys are fun fighters, don't get me wrong, and I do think that they both bring something to the UFC and the roster, but at some point the UFC does kind of have to keep the talent pool as high as it can, so unfortunately every now and then somebody does need to get released, and I think that person might be Genaro Valdez. I am going to be picking Evan Elder to win this matchup. I think he's a significantly more technical striker to start with. I think he's also a little bit more well-rounded as well, but I think this fight completely just takes place on the feet. I think Evan Elder was looking really good against, in my opinion, a better striker than Genaro Valdez against Nazim Sadikov. I believe all 3 judges actually had it 2-0, Evan Elder going into that 3rd round, so that kind of tells you that Evan Elder was ahead on the fight and on the feet. Now, Genaro Valdez, he fights like a headless chicken, you know, like a chicken that's just running around and all this. He's just aggressive. He's fun. He's a brawler. He looked really good prior to getting into the UFC. Now, I will say he didn't look very good on Dana White's Contender Series, considering the opponent that he fought. He's like minus 800 in that fight, or something ridiculous. And if you do watch tape on Patrick White, you can understand why. Patrick White, he's got a 9-1 record, but he's not a 9-1 fighter. And he gave Genaro Valdez some trouble. And that was like the biggest red flag I think anybody could have possibly got about how Genaro Valdez's career was going to go. Now, we got absolutely destroyed by Matt Frivola, who's now ranked, so there's not really a lot of shame in that. And he did still land good shots on Matt Frivola, even though it was a pretty one-sided beatdown. Natan Levy, he hurt Natan Levy at one point, but Natan Levy on the feet was able to out-technique him and then take him down. Evan Elder, I think he can be the more technical striker. I think he can avoid the big shots from Genaro Valdez. If he needs to, he can probably get takedowns as well. I'm pretty sure Evan Elder wins this fight. I think he wins this fight by knockout as well. Probably a 2nd round KO over Genaro Valdez. I think he figures him out in the 1st round. Maybe even hurts him in the 1st round, but really gets it all going in the 2nd and gets a KO in this matchup. Della Maddalena is going to be taking on Bassil Hafez. Now, I'm a little bit interested to know why this is on the prelims. Usually, when big name stars are on the prelims and the international stars, it's usually because it caters more to their audience, the time zone. But Della Maddalena in Australia is probably going to be fighting at like 9 a.m. So unless the prelims in Australia are broadcast on like ESPN or some sort of big network and the main card isn't, that would make sense to put JDM on the prelims. However, Aside from that, it doesn't. You know, I know Bassil Hafez is a guy that most people have never heard of. I know Bassil Hafez is a guy making his debut, but Jack Della Maddalena is Jack Della Maddalena. People do like him. People do love him. People know who he is. People will see Jack Della Maddalena on the co-main and think, okay, I've got to watch this card. Prelims, Apex prelims are a little bit disrespectful, but with all that being said, I'm not going to complain about that when I break this fight down. I have made a completely separate video about this fight. I think it was like 8 minutes long. Like, I really broke down Bassil Hafez's game. But for the most part, I do believe that Jack Della Maddalena should find a KO in the first round. Now, Jack Della Maddalena, he's going to be cutting weight for the second time in 2 weeks. It hasn't really worked out that well for a lot of people in the past. And Bassil Hafez, he's only got 1 KO on his record. But this guy can crack. This guy throws overhand rights and he's got a lot of power. He hurt Anthony Ivy on 2 occasions in that fight. He dropped him in the first round, hurt him in the second round. KO'd Evan Cuts just overhand right central in that fight. Every time he threw an overhand right, it landed on Evan Cuts and he put him out cold. I think it was actually a left hook. No, sorry, it was a right hook. It literally says right hand. It was a right hand that ended up finishing off Evan Cuts there on the counter. I thought he beat Evan Cuts the first time they fought each other as well, by the way, but you know, that's a different story. For the most part, though, Hafez is a grappler. He's a black belt in BJJ. He's very, very slick on the ground, but his cardio is not that good. He seems to slow down a lot after the first round. Jack Della Maddalena, I mean, we haven't seen him leave the first round since he was on Dana White's Contender Series, right? But I think we're going to see Jack Della Maddalena finish off Bassil Hafez. If the fight gets extended, Hafez on short notice, he's a big guy for 170 as well. That weight cut is not going to be easy for him. So I'm going to go JDM by first round KO. But if it leaves the first round, you should be able to finish off Bassil Hafez as well, just because Bassil Hafez will slow down. Hafez has to submit Jack Della Maddalena by something crazy in the first round. I'm going to go Jack Della by KO, round 1. Sorry guys, now we've got Austin Lingo versus Melquizael Costa. And I'm seeing a lot of people really confident in Melquizael Costa. I like Melquizael Costa. I'm picking Melquizael Costa. And, as I said, I do like Melquizael Costa quite a bit. He's actually a very fun fighter to watch. Very good Muay Thai style. He trains at shoot box, and guys that train at shoot box do usually fight a very similar way to each other. It's aggressive Muay Thai. It's aggressive BJJ. I tell you guys this every single time I talk about a shootbox guy. You guys know the deal by now, and they're fun to watch, man. Name a shootbox fighter that's not fun to watch, because I haven't seen one yet. Now, Austin Lingo's a guy that can mix it up. He started off his career like KOing everybody in the first round. It was actually kind of crazy. And now he's gotten into the UFC, and he's just not finding those first round KO wins. He's not finding any KO wins at all. He beat Jacob Kilburn, which has that win is aged badly. Jacob Kilburn is 8-7 now, so yeah, I mean it's a win. And then Luis Saldana, like probably worst fight IQ in UFC history, and then Nate Landwehr beats him. But you know, Nate Landwehr's a good fighter. Everyone kind of picked Nate Landwehr to win that fight. I think he might have even taken it on short notice as well. But when it comes down to this matchup, shout out to Austin Lingo for getting it back in there soon. That was only 3 months ago. I remember that fight very well. But anyway, Melquizael Costa, he came in, he took on short notice Thiago Moises, upper weight class as well, because he's normally a featherweight. And he looked really good on the feet in that matchup, man. He was scrapping with Thiago Moises. It was fun, but then the second round got along, and Moises was able to implement his grappling and got the submission. Melquizael Costa's issue, in my opinion, is actually getting taken down. I've seen him lose fights by getting taken down. He lost against Italo Gomez, but that was a pretty close fight because Italo Gomez was able to get his grappling going. If Lingo can start wrestling, maybe he could find success, but when it comes down to him striking on the feet, Melquizael Costa's aggressive. He's technical. He's got Muay Thai. He throws the kicks. He throws the kitchen sink at you. I'm going to go with Melquizael Costa. I think he actually finds a KO in this matchup as well. I think it's going to be a fun fight to watch. Estela Nunes is going to be taking on Victoria Dudakova. And I'm seeing a lot of people picking Estela Nunes. Now, I am going to be on Victoria Dudakova. And the odds aren't like this anymore. I think Victoria Dudakova is like minus 200. I think at one point she was like minus 400, which is pretty crazy. But I am going to be picking Victoria Dudakova in this matchup. Now, it isn't just because me and her have exchanged DMs on Instagram and she still hasn't replied to me about whether or not she thought that dinosaur win actually existed or not. But, I mean, I'm sure she'll get back to me eventually. But Estela Nunes, very one-dimensional. Now, she's good. She is actually very good. I think she's underrated, and I think that there's a reason why she is getting another opportunity. It's because she's had fights which she was so close to winning, and didn't. She knocked down Yasmin Uregi early on into that fight, wasn't able to finish off the fight, got finished herself. Against Sam Hughes, if she didn't get the eye poke in the third round, she probably would have won that fight. In fact, some people do think that she still should have won that fight anyway. Ariane kind of lost. He's just a tough fighter to make on your debut. But Estela Nunes is a former Muay Thai world champion. Very, very good striker. She's incredibly fast as well. That's another thing that you'll notice about Estela Nunes is just how quick she is on the feet. And you would be a fool to think that Victoria Dudakova is the better striker in this matchup, because she's not. Estela Nunes is probably a better pure striker than a lot of women's strawweights right now. And, there's not really a lot you could argue against it. I mean, she's a Muay Thai world champion, but she doesn't get it done on the ground. She can get taken down. It's how she's lost a lot of her fights recently. I think Victoria Dudakova can go out there, do her wrestling herself. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Dudakova's Dana White's Contender Series fight and how it wasn't impressive and all this and that. You guys got to understand how injured she was in that fight. In the second round, man, she had nothing. She got dominated in the second round by Maria Silva and fought through that injury and won the third round to win the fight. And she couldn't walk for ages. She had a very, very long recovery time, which is documented on her Instagram. And now she's back. I think she goes out there. I think she uses that wrestling. And I think she takes down Estela Nunes. And I think she finds a submission over Estela Nunes as well. Nunes' takedown defense isn't all that great. I think Dudakova gets the takedowns. And I think she submits Estela Nunes. But I'm seeing people pick Nunes. I've actually seen a couple of people pick Nunes. And I can see the pick, kind of, but I really think that Dudakova gets this one done with her wrestling and grappling. Tucker Lutz is taking on Melsik Baghdasaryan. I like Melsik Baghdasaryan in this fight. Now, Tucker Lutz could get his wrestling going, and that would really affect Melsik. You know, Melsik likes to throw a lot of kicks. And if Melsik Baghdasaryan can't throw kicks, like if his kicks get kind of stuffed by the fact that Tucker Lutz is going to be trying to catch kicks and trying to get takedowns, Melsik's game will kind of be, I was going to say, this is going to sound really dumb, but his game will be halved, because now he can't throw kicks anymore. He's got to throw punches and he's got to box, where what Melsik is so good at is just the kickboxing. He's so good at kicks and punches. He's so good at mixing it together. He's very fast. He's a very technical striker. He wants to fight on the feet for the most part. Tucker Lutz in this matchup probably wants to fight on the ground, but he doesn't always go for takedowns to Tucker Lutz, you know? But I think that he's probably going to go for them, but I'm going to trust Melsik to keep the fight on the feet. You know, we haven't really seen a lot from Melsik, and this is why I actually picked him to lose against Joshua Culibel, which wasn't really looking like the best pick in the world, and then Culibel got that submission out of nowhere. It was very impressive by Joshua, but he beat Bruno Souza, who's now losing fights at Karate Combat. He beat Colin Anglin, which, to be fair, like it wasn't the best UFC run. And then he beat Dennis Bazooka, who will never be in the UFC because of his criminal record. Like, it's just so many little things that kind of have an asterisk on Melsik's great UFC career so far. But I think when it comes down to it, he's a much better striker in this matchup. Tucker Lutz is a guy that definitely could get something done. You know, he has had a lot of success until his last couple of fights. He beat Kevin Aguilar, who was an older guy at the time. That's still a good win. He beat Chase Gibson as well. Chase Gibson's a guy that I recognize just looking at his name. But I think Melsik Baghdasaryan can outstrike him on the feet. Maybe find a KO. I mean, I'm seeing people pick Melsik inside the distance. I don't know how confident I am in that. But I think Melsik, you know, can at least outstrike Tucker Lutz for at least 2 rounds to win the fight. And I'm going to go with him to win the matchup. Terrance McKinney taking on Nazim Sadikov. I can't pick Damn, what's going on with me? I can't pick Terrance McKinney, man. I think there's just so many red flags about Terrance McKinney at the moment. I mean, maybe these are things that can all be changed and all be polished up for sure. But Terrance McKinney, suspect chin, suspect cardio, suspect striking defense. What else should I say? Maybe suspect fight IQ as well. Like, I mean, like, dude, like, this guy just lets it all go in the first round, and he's getting caught doing it. Like, people laughed at me when I said this, but it's not wrong. He got hit. He got wobbled a little bit by Eric Gonzalez. Eric Gonzalez landed a really good shot on Terrance McKinney, and that was part of my reasoning to pick Ismail Bonfim to beat him, because I was like, if Eric Gonzalez can land on McKinney, then so can Ismail Bonfim. Now, Terrance McKinney in that fight looked really, really bad. Now, Ismail Bonfim, although he's coming off a loss, is a really good fighter who I rate very highly. National boxing champion as an amateur, I believe multiple times over as well. Had a professional boxing record as well. Bonfim's a good fighter. Bonfim is a better technical striker than Terrance McKinney. People that picked Terrance McKinney in that matchup just didn't know that about Bonfim, I would assume. Now, he got made a fool of against Bonfim. He really did. He was throwing strikes and he was getting off balance and he was kind of like jumping at times to throwing strikes. He just didn't look that great against Ismail Bonfim. Now, these are things that he can learn from. I'm sure he can watch that fight. I'm sure he does watch that fight quite often and think, like, I need to kind of polish up my technical striking. I need to do this. Maybe I should wrestle more. I don't know, just all sorts of things. One thing that you can't deny about Terrance McKinney is aggression and power. However, at the moment, especially after that Bonfim fight, I think his stock is at an all-time low, and that's why you're getting Terrance McKinney as an underdog. I am still picking Nazim Sadikov, though. Even if Nazim Sadikov was the underdog, I still would be on the Nazim Sadikov side. But, I mean, I've got to pick Nazim Sadikov in this matchup. I think he's the more technical striker. I know he didn't look that great against Evan Elder, and there are so many reasons why you could, and you could pick Terrance McKinney. I think Terrance McKinney is probably like the value side. You're getting McKinney as an underdog, which is a pretty good start. But I'm going to go with Sadikov. I think Sadikov's the more technical striker. His win over Ahmad Suhail Hassanzada has not aged very well, which is a really bad shame because I thought Ahmad was going to have a lot of success. Ahmad had a really cool life story going into Dana White's Contender Series, and now Ahmad Suhail was just, he's lost a couple of fights, and it's sad to see. But I did pick Sadikov in that matchup. I did pick Sadikov against Evan Elder. It wasn't looking too good until he was able to cut open Evan Elder very badly in that matchup. Now, I'm going to go with Sadikov here. I think Sadikov can keep the fight on the feet. I think that's where he wants the fight. I think if he survives the first round, even if he loses the first round, he can take over in the second and the third. He's more technical. I mean, there's just a lot of red flags with McKinney at this point. If you are buying into McKinney in this fight, you are buying him at his lowest. You are buying McKinney at low stock price. And that is, I think, what a lot of people are doing. And I think that's a good idea, to be honest. I think there's actually a pretty good opportunity to get McKinney as an underdog where you may not get him as an underdog in the future. But I'm going to go with Sadikov still. I think Sadikov beats him. I think Sadikov knocks him out in the second or the third round. I think he can land on the chin. He's more technical. Or he's just showing to be more technical. McKinney, just lots of red flags that I did highlight earlier in the video. Ottman Azaitar taking on Francisco Prado. I'm not picking Ottman Azaitar because I don't trust him. I don't trust this man at all, dude. He looked so bad against Matt Frivola, like really bad against Matt Frivola, and that's really kind of what this comes down to. Now, I know Matt Frivola is now ranked after he beat Drew Dober, which is crazy, but I just can't trust him. Now, Francisco Prado is a fighter I can trust because you can see Francisco Prado. You might think, oh, this guy lost recently. Why are you saying that you can trust him? Well, he didn't fight a bad game against Jamie Mullarkey whatsoever, in my opinion. He took that fight on very short notice as well. It's worth noting. And if I'm not wrong, was that fight? Oh man, I'm going to say something really dumb, but I wanted to know. Yes, that fight was in Australia. I was going to say, I think that fight was in Australia, and it was. So this man, Francisco Prado, on like 2 weeks notice, I think it was, took on Jamie Mullarkey, had to probably spend like 3 days traveling and getting kind of acclimated to Australia with the time zones and all that sort of thing. So he didn't really get a very good training camp whatsoever to take on Jamie Mullarkey at all. Now, I picked Prado in that matchup. Now, it was a bad idea, I know, and hindsight's always 2020, I know. But I bought into the hype, man. I love this guy. I think this guy's fun to watch. He's got good wins in his record. He's got some bad wins in his record. You can tell that Samurai Fight House really built him up. But he KO'd a guy that was 8-2, 21-15. He got the veteran test. Beat another undefeated guy in the first round. And beat a 13-3 guy in the first round. You can tell what this guy's about. He's fun. He's aggressive. He's like an Esteban Radovich. Kind of, but like more Drew Dober-ish and more bulk, I guess. Esteban Radovich is a pretty thin guy for 155. I'm just waffling. This is a waffling breakdown. I'm so sorry. But the point is, I'm picking Prado. I can pick Prado more, I can pick Prado more with more confidence. This is a very similar matchup. Both of these guys are going to try and take each other's head off in the first round. They are. Ottman Azaitar, that's what he's known for. That's what he did until he kind of got the little potato sort of situation going on. If you don't know what it is, I'll probably have to explain it in another video maybe, but he had the potato situation, but before that, he was just KOing everybody in the first round. It was incredible. He KO'd Timu Pakalin, but no one knows what he got up to. He beat Calmer Worthy. I mean, everybody knocks out Calmer Worthy. So these things in hindsight are bad looks. He got absolutely destroyed by Matt Frivola. Yeah, I'm going to go with Prado. I think I waffled a lot in that breakdown. I'm really sorry, but I'm going to go with Prado inside the distance. I think someone's getting finished in the first 2 rounds, though. I'll tell you that much. Norma Dumont is taking on Chelsea Chandler. I'm seeing people pick Chelsea Chandler. I'm just not convinced. I'm going to go with Norma Dumont. I think, once again, it comes down to that sort of thing, which I love. I love the word evidence. I really do. Now, it is a big detriment to a lot of my predictions. A lot of the time I say, you can't pick this person because there's no evidence that they should win. And sometimes it ends up being wrong. But this is another situation where you've got so much evidence for Norma Dumont, being a top fighter. Now, it's worth noting that this fight is at women's 145 pounds, which is weird because I'm telling you guys, that weight class isn't going to be around for much longer. But Norma Dumont, she is proven in the UFC. She is proven at 145. She's got 7 fights under the promotion. She's got good wins, you know. A close fight against Melquizael, which she could have won if she had better fight IQ. She beat Aspen Ladd in 2021, and that was a good win at the time. Felicia Spencer fought for a title against Amanda Nunes. I mean, there's a lot of kind of things I can point out about her record right now. She beat Danielle Wolf, knocked her down on the feet. Danielle Wolf was that great boxer. Carol Rosa, she beat Carol Rosa by doing a lot of clinching, and it's just a boring fight. And this is going to be another one, in my opinion. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people picking Chelsea Chandler because they think that she looked really good against Julia Stoliarenko. And that's just a little bit scary, isn't it? Like, you're picking someone based off beating Julia Stoliarenko, who was like 1-6, 1-7 with the promotion. I just don't like it at all. I like Norma Dumont here. Norma Dumont has shown good abilities to get takedowns. She's shown good abilities to defend takedowns. And she's shown ability to strike as well. Like, I know Chelsea Chandler's a good prospect with probably a lot of upside, but when it comes to this fight in particular, I just don't like it for her. I mean, it just comes down to that thing again, man. There's so much more evidence. I know how good Chelsea Chandler looked against Yulia Stoliarenko. I do know that. I know she's got a black belt in BJJ. I know that she's trained with the Diaz brothers as well, I believe, at some point in her career. But I've just got to go with Dumont, man. It's just another one of those things. There's just more evidence that suggests that Dumont wins. So I'm going to go Dumont by decision in this matchup. Now we move on to, I'm going to completely contradict myself from everything I just said in the last breakdown. Let's go Walt Harris. The big ticket is coming back. There's no evidence to back it up, but I'm telling you guys, Walt Harris is coming back at the prime age of 40 years old. He is back. He was just in camp with John Jones and those other absolute savages that were in the PFL and recently lost, like Maurice Green and Jorgen De Castro, who was KO'd hilariously. That KO loss, sorry, I'm so sorry, Jorgen De Castro. He's probably a really nice guy, but that KO loss was hilarious against Denis Goltsov. But Walt Harris, he's here. He's the only one in the UFC left out of the big four, and him and John Jones, of course. And once John Jones gives up and he retires, not gives up, he gives up the title, I guess. Walt Harris is there. Walt Harris is there. He's going to be taking on Pavlovich. He's going to be going one-on-one with that big man, and they are going to be swanging and banging. But before, he's got to get past Josh Parisian, and I do think he does get past Josh Parisian. Walt Harris hasn't fought in a long time. It's another one of those things, man. There's not a lot of evidences there that suggest that Walt Harris wins this fight. He hasn't won a fight in 4 years, and it was against old man Alexei Olenek. And then he lost to the Reem. He lost to Volkov, and he lost to Tybura, all by KO, all in pretty one-sided fashion as well. But here's the thing. Here's what Walt Harris has. He's 6'5". He's a big guy. He's hopefully more muscular than Josh Parisian to start with, but he's powerful, man, and he throws in combinations on his boxing. And this is kind of why he just KOs everyone, man. Like, all of his wins are by KO. 11 of them are in the first round. I think he goes out there and knocks out Josh Parisian. Do you need me to tell you that I don't rate Josh Parisian that highly from what I just said? I just don't, man. I just don't. I picked him to lose against Jamal Pogues. I even picked him to lose against Alain Baudot, who's probably one of the worst heavyweights in history. And I'm going to say it again. I said this in my early prediction video, but I'm going to say it again. Alain Baudot knocked down Josh Parisian while he was throwing standing hammer fists. I don't even know if the commentary was calling them standing hammer fists. I think they were calling them like standing axe punches. Like, instead of throwing like the jab and the 1-2, he was throwing like these. He was throwing like hammers. No, not even like that. It was like this. He's throwing like hammers. Standing hammers. Watch the fight. Alain Baudot will shock you with what he was throwing in that matchup. And he hurt Josh Parisian. He dropped him. He almost finished him. It was unreal. Walt Harris, dude, he's not going to be throwing standing hammer fists. He's actually going to be throwing somewhat technical, heavy combinations in the boxing. I mean, he throws head kicks as well. Like, this guy's just an absolute beast, mate. I'm going to go Walt Harris, round 1 KO. I think he puts out Josh Parisian. I'm putting a lot of logic to the side, because I know Josh Parisian can probably win. I probably know he can probably wrestle, you know, but like, it's just Walt Harris' pick is more fun. But I do genuinely think he wins as well. Now, this is where my pick swap comes in. I was on Junyon Park, but now I'm picking Albert Duraev. In hindsight, Junyon Park's wins aren't that good. It's where, like, I love Dennis Tulin. I really do. But Tulin had nothing for him in that fight. And you could say, wow, that makes Junyon Park look really, really good, but Dennis Tulin just doesn't have wrestling, man. He's like a pure striker. He's a pure striker. That's what it comes down to. And I love Dennis. I'm like Dennis's biggest fan. I'm probably like his only massive fan that vouches for him all the time. And Junyon Park made him look easy. And it was just obvious that Dennis had no grappling whatsoever. That wasn't just Junyon Park going out there and out-wrestling a decent wrestler. He just out-wrestled a guy that had absolutely no idea how to wrestle, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Joseph Holmes was making it competitive at times against Junyon Park, and Joseph Holmes is a guy that's a little bit rocky right now in the UFC, not really having the most success, and then beat Eric Anders in a very close fight. I thought he won that fight, to be fair, but you can't be going to close fights with Eric Anders these days, man. And now Albert Duraev is another guy who I don't rate that highly either, but I'm going to still pick him anyway. I do believe if Albert Duraev goes out there with a wrestling game plan, I do believe he can out-wrestle Junyon Park. I initially thought that Junyon Park might be able to get it done in the clinch and making it boring, but now that I think about it, I do believe that Albert Duraev is the better wrestler in this matchup. I do love that photo of Albert Duraev. I mean, shout out to Duraev for that photo. That's a pretty sick one. But, you know, Albert Duraev, he come in Dana White's Contender Series after fighting for the first time in about 3 years, dominates Kaya Bittencourt. Now he has a pretty hyped up debut, has a bit of trouble against Roman Kopylov. Now, in hindsight, beating Roman Kopylov is a very good look, because now Kopilov's gone on to do his own thing. Joaquin Buckley beats up that eye a little bit. Joaquin Buckley hits harder than Junyon Park, and I think that Albert Duraev's not going to have that problem. He strikes for a lot more than he should have against Chidi Njokwani, and that was a very close fight. Duraev definitely should have wrestled more. It turns out Duraev wanted to strike with Chidi Njokwani, like that was part of the plan. Okay, Duraev, I mean, fight IQ is a little bit questionable with that statement, but I hope Duraev goes out there and wrestles. I think he can take down Junyon Park. I think he can control Junyon Park as well, get on top of Junyon Park, and win a decision in this matchup. But this is one of those fights where I was originally on Park, now I'm going to be picking Duraev, and now Park's going to win. So it's just tough being me, man. It really is. So give me Albert Duraev to win that fight by decision. And now we've got Holly Holm taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. And if Holly Holm wins this, is she next in line for the title shot? I mean, maybe. Maybe she is. Maybe she isn't. Maybe it's Raquel Pennant versus Juliana Pena. There's rumors going out there that Ronda Rousey is going to be coming back. Crazy. And maybe she'll be fighting for the title. Who knows what is going to happen, dude? There's so much that could happen at the top of women's 135 pounds. And I'd rather they booked a title sooner than later between Pena and whoever else. Or if it's not going to be Pena, maybe it's Pennington and Holm. Who knows what they do. But I think if Holly Holm wins this fight, she's definitely in like the conversation for the next title shot at the prime age of almost 42 years old, which is very impressive. Now, Holly Holm main events are they are a curse. They are something that the UFC and Disney and ESPN love to give us, but man, they're a filler. They're a filler fight, that's for sure. And they're usually not very fun. I mean, the track record of Holly Holm's main events as of recent isn't very good. It's just boring. Like, she had that fight against Ketlin Vieira, which was just terrible. It really was. And then she recently beat Yana Santos in a very exciting fight, to be fair. It was actually quite fun. She probably could have finished Santos on those opportunities. But when it comes down to this matchup, I think that Holly Holm's got a really good chance of beating Mayra Bueno Silva in exciting fashion. Now, the reason why I say that is Mayra Bueno Silva's best chance of winning this fight is taking Holly Holm to the ground. But Mayra Bueno Silva is not a girl that likes to go for takedowns. at all. And a fun fact about Mayra Bueno Silva, before her last fight against Lena Landsberg, she had not taken down any of her UFC opponents, despite winning by submission 3 times. None of those opponents she actually took down. They took her down, and then she won by submission. It's crazy. And she did go for takedowns against Lena Landsberg. Good idea from Mayra Bueno Silva. She probably should try and go for takedowns against Holly Holm. But Holly Holm, I know she is pretty old. She's almost 42 years old. But at this point, she does have pretty good wrestling and takedown defense. She actually used it against Yana Santos and looked really good against Yana Santos in their matchup. She's got decent clinch game, I guess, which is just horrible to watch. But she did that against Ketlin Vieira. I think she can outstrike Mayra Bueno Silva in this matchup. I think if Mayra Bueno Silva wins this fight, she has to get the fight to the ground and win by submission. I think that's how she wins. I don't see her outstriking Holly Holm. I'll be surprised if she outstrikes Holly Holm. I think Holly Holm had like a world title in kickboxing before she even transferred over to boxing, which is quite impressive. So there's just, I don't know. I don't even know. This breakdown's a mess. It's 1 a.m. in the morning, man. Like, sorry, guys, I've had a really long day, but I'm going to be picking Holly Holm to win this matchup. And one thing I am going to say, there's a chance she finishes this fight in the 4th and the 5th round, because I can see Mayra Bueno Silva slowing down and getting tired. This is a 5-round fight. She's never been 5 rounds in her career. Her cardio has never really looked that bad, but most of the time she has finished her fights by submission early on. But I think Holly Holm can put a pace on. I think she can win by decision. Maybe Mayra Bueno Silva completely gasses out in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. Holly Holm's pressure just becomes enough. She ends up just landing enough volume to put away Mayra Bueno Silva. I don't see Holly Holm going out there and just knocking out Mayra Bueno Silva and putting her out Sparko. I think what she does is probably win by like a TKO. In the 4th or the 5th round, she is to win by finish. So give me Holly Holm to win by very late finish or by decision. I think if Bueno Silva wins, it has to be by submission. That's what the people are picking. I don't see her winning a decision over Holly Holm. I think Holm wins by decision in this matchup. Let me know what you think of that video. I'm sorry, it was an absolute mess. I didn't even realize it's 1 a.m. in the morning and I'm recording this video. I've had a very long day. I've had a busy day. I've done a lot of waiting for a lot of different things. It was just an absolute nightmare. I'm sorry. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.